Okay, I've got the second live signal on my Video Pro, which would indicate that we are live, and I'm going to try to find the broadcast right now so that I can keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on your comments. I'm refreshing. Here we go. Bringing it up on the iPad. We're going to have a little bit of a pregame show. And okay, the audio sounds okay. So there doesn't seem to be a problem. Anthony is in the house, and he's the first one in the house. There you go. Quick on the draw. And Blue Shirt Buddha is right behind him. And I've got the 231 Stunner on the view right now and played around with the white balance. I went ahead and took the time to put all the cameras on manual white balance. Normally don't do that because then if I go out and shoot somewhere and I forget to change the white balance, then I'm kind of in trouble. So, but I went ahead and took the time, put all three cameras on manual white balance. It's about 3100 Kelvin, the light temperature in here. And so everything should be, all the colors and all should be absolutely correct now. And we've got a short pregame show here. It is 4:53. Officially, there's the time right there. And that's within about a second or so of the actual time. And of course, there is a delay on the broadcast, so keep that in mind. But you can see the gold at the top. That's pretty much the actual color. Got the white balance pretty close on that. On some of my other broadcasts, you'll notice it looks a little warmer. The white balance was off a little bit. But it is stunning in person to see these watches. Durr's in the house, looking dapper. Thank you very much. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, here I'm testing you guys here real quick. Who do you think made the shirt that I'm wearing? Who made it? There's the question for the day. Who made the shirt that I'm wearing? Let's see who gets that first in the chat. And I'm wearing this jacket. I just threw it on because it is alpaca, and it is probably the warmest jacket I have. And, of course, I'm too cheap to run the heat, so it's a little bit chilly in here today. It's a cloudy, dreary, rainy day, a high of about 40 degrees outside. So it's kind of chilly in here right now. Okay, so you need to fix the date. Yeah, I need to update the dates on this watch as well. I'll probably do that later on. So yeah, right now the date is not correct because we only had 30 days, so that's a problem. Fortunately, I won't have to change the time because the time is still close enough. I'll be able to do the quick change date thingamajig. This one, I'm going to have to run the hour hand around, to change the time on this one. Let's get a close-up on this puppy. Looks pretty stunning if you ask me. Looks pretty stunning and goes right underneath that shirt cuff. No problem whatsoever, as you can see there, and comes out to read the time. And just looks freaking gorgeous. I'm telling you, this is a gorgeous piece. I would rather it be in titanium because I've gotten spoiled by the titanium on the diver. And this watch, believe it or not, feels a little bit heavy on wrist, even though it's so much trimmer. And it's a smaller watch. It's only 39 mils. It just feels a little bit heavier on wrist. I mean, not to where it bothers me, but I do notice it when I put it on. So, Brooks Brothers, you're correct, Carlos. And you can, and the roll to the collar on these button-down collars on the Brooks Brothers shirts, there's just something about it. They just get it right. At least they did in the old days. I don't know if they do anymore. This one was, of course, made in these United States of America back when they were doing that. But yeah, you're right. Brooks Brothers. Carlos is on target today. Right on target. Let's see. Let me get caught up on these comments here before I get behind. Okay, the date. We talked about that. Looking dapper. Thank you. Got back from an event. No, I didn't actually. I just threw this jacket on because it's the warmest one I have. The sport coat I had on was not quite as warm as this alpaca piece. Now, I will tell you, and we've talked about this before, that Breanna does look better in this coat than I do, by far, I think. But there's that. And by the way, I've got a really cool photo of Bree wearing one of my Stetson hats. Let me know if you want to see that. We'll show you that later on if you guys are interested in seeing that photo I just took yesterday. Okay, so I was listening to a recently live stream from a couple of watch reviewers, and they, in my opinion, summed up this Rolex supply shortage mess the best out of anyone. Okay, we'll talk about that. That's what we're gonna talk about on the show here. This is an emergency broadcast, and we're going to talk about the Rolex Bubble, the shortage, all these issues. We're going to talk about this. What's up, Craig? Says Jonathan. I just bought my GS Snowflake and loving it. Well, there you go. You got a stunner there. And how does it fit on wrist? Does it fit okay on wrist? And the only issue I have with mine is no micro adjustments. But did you get that one to fit all right on wrist? And by the way, I love the pin and collar system that makes that bracelet so comfortable because of the flexibility you get, because the pin and collar floats in there as opposed to a screw. If you have a screw going through, it's fixed. It doesn't rotate. It's not as comfortable. And plus, of course, a screw can back out, and you can actually lose your watch if it falls off in an inappropriate time, like when you're in the water in the ocean or something like that, right? It could go to the bottom of the drink. Okay, so good call. Okay, I have to thank you for remembering. Okay, let's see here. Brooks Brothers in Connecticut. No, no. I don't remember which store this was purchased from, but it wasn't in Connecticut. It was probably the one in probably New York. What's the temp in the house? It's probably about 60 degrees in here right now. About 60. Is the only U.S. shirt brand that I know. Carlos in the house. I saw an old live stream where you had a Patagonia puffy jacket. I've got some Patagonia stuff that's all made in the USA from back when they were all that. Check my channel. I've got some reviews and some videos on some Patagonia and some North Face stuff that was also made in the USA back when they were building their brand and doing stuff right. Some of them are offshoring a lot of stuff now, and it's not quite as good, I don't think. I have a 6 3/4 inch wrist. It fits well on wrist for me. Well, there you go. Okay, so here, let's get into it. It is officially 5 o'clock, and let's get into it. So there have been some people musing about the Rolex bubble, maybe a little prick in the bubble, maybe a little bit of air, maybe deflating a little bit. Bark and Jack has had some videos on this subject, and some other people. Of course, I've been talking about this for a long time. And what none of them have seemed to have talked about, at least the streams that I saw, is the psychology of how these things usually play out. And the way these things usually play out is when the market starts softening a little bit, you get these canaries in the coal mine, you get these indications and these people making comments like you're starting to hear now. And then the speculators start trying to unload their watches because they start thinking, okay, maybe we're at the peak, maybe we're not going any higher, and maybe in fact we might go lower. So they start trying to unload their watches. Keyword there being trying. The buyers start becoming aware of the situation and start becoming reticent and aren't quite as willing to pony up. And so these folks that are selling start kind of doubling down, maybe cutting their price a little bit. Then the word starts spreading even more. And then at some point, and we're not there yet, at some point panic starts to set in. Panic amongst the sellers. And they start realizing that these watches are not as liquid as they thought they were, not as easy to sell as they thought they were. And they start really cutting the prices. And it can happen quickly. where the price can just plummet. And so what happens is all these people that are sitting on a bunch of watches, and I'm not talking about somebody who just bought one watch and is wearing it and enjoying it. I'm talking about people that were speculators that had 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 of these steel stunners that in some cases they paid over list for. They're buried in the watches. They're going to start panicking. And it could get really, really bloody pretty quick. And this is regardless of anything Rolex does. Rolex, I don't think, are going to change their production schedule. I just don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they do that. They produce what they want to produce, and they don't care about these trends of, all of a sudden all the watches are hot, and this is popular, and this is selling over list. And I don't think they care about any of that. They're long-term thinkers. They're going to produce what they're going to produce. And if everything is selling out, that's fine. They don't care, right? They realize that this is a temporary situation and that it's going to correct itself. And if they were to increase production significantly, they could really harm their brand and make the situation a lot worse. So I don't think they're going to increase production, but I think that what's going to happen is the prices are going to come way down to where it'll get back to normal, what I call normal, which is you should be able to get a discount on a steel sports Rolex, a 10 or 20% discount, and walk out the door with it, and that should be routine. And that's what it always was years ago. You could always get discounts for cash on a steel sports Rolex. And I think we're going to return to that. And I think people that paid significantly over retail, they better love the watch because it's theirs. They're not getting out. I think the days of getting out of those watches are rapidly coming to an end. I think they're a lot harder to sell right now than people think. Let's see here. Let's catch up on the comments. Let's see. At the end of the day, Rolex wins here. They keep their brand prestige, free social media publicity, and they stay relevant in this day of people aspiring to own Apple Watches. The Daytona is going from strength to strength, 25 to 26 here in the UK. Even Datejust 41 is selling at 40% above MSRP. Pepsi and Batman have seen small falls. Yeah, David, give it time. All that's going to change. All that's going to change. Let's see. Anyone who pays more than retail for a Datejust is a sucker. Yeah, well, there are a lot of suckers out there that are getting burned, and well, a lot. I shouldn't use the term a lot. I think it's a relatively small percentage of Rolex buyers that are speculators and that are paying over list for these watches. I think it's a relatively small percentage. I think most people are just walking into ADs and buying what they can buy, and if they don't get a sub, it's not the end of the world for them. They just buy what's in the case. There's usually something nice in the case, and they buy it and they walk out, and sometimes they get a discount. So I think that's most buyers. And now the ones we hear about in all these forums, they're not the 90%, right? They're the 10% or less, maybe even 5% that are engaged in those kinds of things. Let's see. A Dem president would make the bubble pop. I think it might pop before the election. I think this is good. I think the first quarter of this year coming up, 2020, I think there could be a lot of blood in the streets. I'm waiting for the market crash. I can get a cheap Ferrari that way and all the Rolex for the taking. There you go. I have to admit, I've got some cash on the sidelines. I'm waiting for a dip. Of course, the stock market just keeps going up and up and up like crazy. But I've got some cash on the sidelines waiting just in case. I don't mind having some cash. And speaking of cash, this is a depressing time of the year for me. Not just because it's dark and cold and all the normal things that can cause depression this time of the year, but this is the time of the year when I have to write big fat checks to pay my property taxes. I just sent a check to pay the property tax on my Florida home, and it pretty devastating. And I'm going to have to write 2 more property tax checks. See, those of you that have mortgages that have it taken out every month and as part of your mortgage payment, you don't really notice it, right? But I have to pay it all at once, and it's painful writing that check. It really is. I mean, I love real estate, but I tell you what, it bodes well for Bitcoin, right? I don't have to pay any property taxes on my Bitcoin. It just sits there and it's fine. So there's that. Let's see. Daytonas have always been hard to get for the last 20 plus years, though. It's the rest of the Rolex range. No, Cheetown. Daytonas, they couldn't give them away years ago, maybe more than 20 years ago, but 30 years ago, when I remember back in the day, they weren't selling well at all, and you could absolutely get discounts on them. So I don't know if that was 20 years ago, but I know 30 to 40 years ago that was the case. They were never popular. They're just not a very practical watch. I mean, they're hard to read. There's no reason to have that functionality for most people, so it's not a very practical watch. They never sold very well. Let's see, discounts on steel sports is just wishful thinking. Our world is changing. 30% of the world's luxury goods are being consumed by China. Wait till 3.4 billion Indians get their act together. Yeah, we'll see. I think you're going to eat those words. Craig, taxes in Florida are cheap. I just had to write a pretty fat property tax check. It wasn't cheap. Wasn't cheap for me. I don't know what you would call cheap, but yeah, it was pretty heavy. Now, maybe the tax rate is higher up here in Maryland. Maybe it is, but it was still pretty fat check I had to write. So there's that. There's no way Rolex wants to be the next Patek Philippe. Charging 20 grand for a sub would price them out of the lucrative mainstream market. Those are fantasies of a speculator. Okay, you only make money if you sell it. Well, yeah, if you sell the watch at a profit, then you made money. Absolutely. But I think a lot of these people are going to find it very difficult to do that, especially if they don't act fast. I think they're going to get stuck. Cheetown, California. How can you look at historical trends that we are experiencing? How can you look at historical trends? What we are experiencing is unprecedented. David Lee. David, I hope you're not sitting on a bunch of steel Rolexes and think that they're going to hold their value, because you're going to get burned. Okay, as simple as that. You're going to get burned. It's just a freaking steel Rolex, right? It ain't worth the kind of money that they're selling for, and the market will take care of that. I pay near $6,000 a year for property taxes, and it's god awful. Durr in the house. Yeah, I hear you, Durr. Yeah, and the problem is I'm paying more than double that on 3 houses, though. It's 3 different properties, but it's painful to write these checks this time of the year. It really is. Let's see here. And all the Wrench Gang, happy Sunday. Property taxes really suck. Our WAGs, especially those where you don't get the homestead exemption. They double them in Indiana without the homestead. Oh, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I could buy a nice Omega with my property tax. Yeah. Back in the day, I got my 16,518 at a 17.5% discount. That's right. There aren't 3.4 billion Indians in the world. G-Town bringing some facts into the discussion. Could be worse, Craig. You could own property in Illinois. Uh-oh. I hear you. In Panama, there is no property taxes during the first 20 years. In Spain, you have to pay wealth tax for everything you own, including Bitcoin. Yeah, well, maybe you just don't say anything about owning the Bitcoin. I don't own any Bitcoin. I just talk a big game. I don't actually own any. That's my official statement on the subject. I own 0 Bitcoin. That's how that works. Let's see here. Florida out-of-state landowners really get their property tax rates jacked up much higher than full-time residents. Yes, yes, they are higher. Absolutely they are. But they're high enough, period, any which way you slice it, if you ask me. Stuck with what? Bought a Rolex, wear it, not a market. It retains value, yeah, but my watch is not for sale or profit. Well, yeah, I mean, if you just bought your watch to wear, and that's it, and you're going to keep it indefinitely, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the speculators that bought 5, 6, 8, 10 watches, and they're speculating that they will go up in value, and or hold the ridiculous current high values. Those are the people I'm talking to right now. And people give disclaimers. This is not financial advice. This actually is financial advice. If you're sitting on 6, 8, 10, Rolexes, steel Rolexes that you've got a ton of money in, and you are considering them as investments, as a store of long-term store of value, this is financial advice. I'm saying that you are freaking crazy. That is not going to end well. That's what I'm predicting, and I'm saying right now. That is not going to end well for you. And I'm 100% certain of that. My Rolex are 20 years old plus. David Lee in the house with old Rolexes. There you go. At work the other day, an Asian family was burglarized. They had 6 Rolexes stolen and $37K in cash taken from under their mattress. There's a trend going on where Asians are getting burglarized in Florida. I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, if you've got a lot of expensive stuff sitting around, that's a honeypot. That's what we call a honeypot. Better have good security if you got a bunch of expensive stuff laying around. Thoughts on Hong Kong Rolex inventory shipments being reduced, being redirected to the States. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Craig, my Bitcoin lips are sealed. Our Wags in the house. Our Wags is a fiduciary. He can't share any information about other people's finances. He is a fiduciary. See, we're using sophisticated terms here on the channel. Let's see. The Chinese middle-class consumer market doesn't set trends. It follows what the rest of the world does. I don't see that market suddenly switching to a delicate yellow gold Pateks any day soon. Fortunately, you don't have to pay Spain's taxes if you do not live there for more than 180 days. The U.S. taxes for non-residents is something really rare in the world. Okay. Okay. Are you talking about income taxes or like real estate? Doesn't matter who owns the real estate, right? They're going to pay whether they're a resident or not. It's whoever owns that piece of real estate is going to pony up. Craig, how did you get Breanna to hug the tripod? She loves it. She hugs and kisses things that she loves. She loves the tripod. Do you want to see the picture of? Nobody wants to see the picture of Breanna in my hat. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. They don't want to see it. I was going to show you the picture of her in my hat, in my Stetson that I bought in New York about. That probably was 35 years ago that I bought that hat. But I will say, and that it definitely looks better on her than it does on me. Just like this jacket looked a lot better on her. Let's see here. Craig, in my opinion, you are giving sound financial advice on overbuying watches as investments. There you go. Okay, we got an opinion coming on in, chiming in the chat. The market is bound to crash soon. There are too many houses being built, and the prices are so overinflated, it's not even funny. 2008 all over again. Um, Jesus, the hat is older than her. There you go. A lot of things I have are older than her. This jacket is older than her. So there's that. But quality things hold up over time. That's the way that works. And see the lapels on this jacket? The Oxford. They make lapels like this for years and years and years and years and years. So it's very stable. Doesn't go in and out of fashion. It is what it is. It is what it is. Now, they do make some fashionable stuff now that really looks goofy, but they still make the classic jackets with this cut and with this type of a lapel. So you could buy one 5 years ago, you could have bought one 25 years ago, and it was the same. That's how that was. Just like Rolex Submariners used to be, really gorgeous, like until they came out with the stupid super case. That's how that was. Somebody was debating with me on one of the forums about how great the super case is and all this, and I'm like, my God, are you freaking blind? Are you freaking kidding me? It was a fail, and it is a fail. Hopefully they'll fix it. Let's see. This is this you can leave your hat on sort of risque photo? It's a little bit risque, but it's classy. We try to put out, photos that kind of push the envelope a little bit, but we try to be classy about it. She's an attractive young lady, and she likes to be a little bit frisky. So that's how that works. Income tax, inheritance too. Okay. I feel like a lot of watch channels have slowed themselves down. There's no new content. I think they're looking to start new hobbies. Uh-oh. Yeah, and somebody commented on one of my Instagram posts. It was actually a picture of Breanna that I posted. And they said, what does this have to do with watches? And I'm like, is that all there is to life for some of these people? Is it absolutely everything has to be watches? I talk about a lot of things on this channel other than watches. Matter of fact, most of my content on this channel is not watch related. I've been doing a fair amount of watch related stuff lately just because Steve has been doing some stuff and I've been doing some stuff. But still, if you look at the total number of videos on my channel and look at the ratio, it's not even 10% of the videos are watch related. So there's that. Let's see here. That's correct, Craig. A fiduciary is much like a patient-doctor relationship. Everything financial must remain private and confidential. There you go. Hi, all from the Netherlands. There you go. Got to run later, fellows. Blue shirt Buddha is checking out. Let's see. The problem is when new houses being built aren't close to where the jobs are, and the new units built where jobs exist are much too expensive. We had a discussion on one of the Facebook groups about here in Frederick County, there are a lot of commuters that commute down to D.C., and, like a 2-hour commute. And they're all debating on what to do on Interstate 270, widen it, put more lanes in, or put a monorail down the middle, right? They're talking about a monorail. Can you imagine how much that'll cost and so on? And I chimed in. I said, here's a like bizarre suggestion. How about people just live close to where they work? And people came in, with vitriol. They're like, I'm going to live where I choose, and I want to have a nice big house and not pay much for it, and it's none of your business if I drive 2 hours and blah, 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 blah. I said, this is my business if you want my tax dollars to pay for widening the road so that you can make stupid choices. So that's how that debate went. So these people that spend 2 hours in the car every morning going to work, I just don't get it. My commute is about 20 feet. So there's that. Now, I do go out and drive around and meet with clients and things like that in the middle of the day, not during rush hour. I don't schedule those rendezvous during rush hour. I almost never am in rush hour traffic, and that's on purpose. That's a choice. That's called a decision. So, how did we get on that topic? But anyway, that's where we are. And Craig, does Steve give you a commission from the watches he sells through this channel? No, he doesn't. And, you know, he is a client. Now, he does pay me to advertise on some of my websites, but he doesn't pay a commission on watches that I sell, that he sells as a result of that. He's treated me right as far as the watches that I've purchased from him. I've gotten good deals. So, you know, that's nice. And I have suggested to him that he should talk to Grand Seiko and that they should think about sponsoring some shows and sponsoring some content, but they are so freaking clueless. I mean, they just have no clue what this channel has done for the sales and so forth. And they have sold a lot of freaking watches, especially the 231s, that puppy there. They've sold a lot of them as a result of this channel. I know for a fact because I get feedback from people that buy them. And they've sold a lot of these 005s as a result of the channel. And Steve knows. Steve has sold a ton of watches. He knows that there's been direct sales. But will Grand Seiko do anything about it? Will they pony up? Will they sponsor anything? Not so far. Not so far. They did invite me up to that event in New York. I mean, big deal. That doesn't put any money in my pocket. That costs me money. I missed a day of work. So there's that. Let's see, but I'm not bitter. I've migrated my interest to classic men's fragrances. There's no point wearing a Batman if you smell like you just emerged from your mother's basement from a 20-day internet binge. I will say something about fragrances. Breanna's usually here about 2 days a week, and when she's here, this whole place smells a lot better. I will say that. And for about a day or so after she leaves, it still has that lingering nice aroma. So, yeah. I do not use or own any fragrance, but I shower 1 to 3 times per day. There you go. A CraigShip live stream is not an exclusive watch discussion channel. We discuss a lot of topics, a cutting edge approach. There we go. And I made a comment in one of the forums about a watch. I said, man, that is ugly. And then I said, you know, it must be the style these days to have ugly watches, right? And somebody replied that something about, something about style that you know, I know a lot about style or something. I don't know what the hell they said, but anyway, something. And I said, well, here's the deal. I said, I don't have any clue what's in style from one moment to the next, and I don't want to know because I'm not going to feed into all that stuff. I'm not going to waste my money buying the latest fashion or whatever, and just to have it go out of fashion in a couple years and be stuck with whatever that was. Like, for example, the real short sport coats and suit coats that they're wearing these days. I'm not going to buy any of that stuff. Because I know good and well, in 5 or 10 years, all that stuff is going to look, well, it looks silly now, but it's going to really look silly when it's totally back out of fashion. So no, we don't buy any of the stylish stuff. We buy timeless, well-designed things that we can wear our entire lifetime. That's what we do on this channel. Let's see here. Very few watch channels offer good content. I find Watch Chronicler, whatever that is, I can't figure out what that is, but about the only channel talking about horology. The rest are just Rolex fanboy channels, all chasing watches that are not available. Sounds like Steve is using is using you to his advantage. You give this guy a channel and he doesn't give you anything sounds selfish. No, I didn't say he doesn't give me anything. He is a sponsor on a number of my websites and community websites, and so he's a client. I mean, that's how I met him. He's a client, and yeah. Let's face it. I'm not hurting for money. I don't really care. I don't monetize a lot of the videos I put up. I don't even bother to monetize. So, some of them I do, but the money that I get from YouTube is peanuts, and so it's not like like I really care, right? If I can help somebody out, I'm more than happy to help them out. And what goes around comes around, right? You do right by people, and at some point it usually benefits you. And even if it doesn't, it's still worthwhile when you can to help. And I'm talking about watches that I really believe in, that I actually wear and use, which I think is helpful to people. The equipment reviews I do, like the video I did recently on the Pro Media Gear tripod. I love that tripod. It's super well made. It's gorgeous, and I don't mind at all helping promote that tripod. They're not paying me any money, right? I bought that tripod with my own money, but they're making them in these United States of America. They're good folks, and so I don't mind promoting them, and if people buy them based on that, I feel comfortable because I know they're really, really good stuff. So there you go. That's how that works on this channel. Let's see. I got Steve 2 Grand Seiko sales this weekend from 2 people, a Snowflake and a SB GN003. They're both very happy with their purchases. Durr. Yeah, and you probably don't expect anything back from Steve. I mean, I know when you come and visit, he treats you guys right and all that. And I don't think it always has to be what's in it for me, when you're helping people out. I just think life's too short. Of course, I'm an old guy, so I know life is too short to always worry about that. I produce my own fragrances. Chi-Town or Chi-Town? Let's see, pronounce Chi-Town. It's shorthand for Chicago. Let's see. The new trend for men nowadays is to wear Gucci hoodies, anorexic jeans, smell like a sweatshop, have an unshaven face, and have no body hair. Needless to say, that trend is going to... Well, and here's the thing. Believe it or not, a lot of them are in pretty poor shape, too. I was listening to a podcast by Ben Shapiro, and he said the latest stat is 71% of Americans, I think this is all, including children, 71% are overweight, and something like 41% are obese, are considered to be obese. So a lot of the people are in pretty bad shape. Now add to that the fact that most of them are broke. Can you imagine being obese and broke, both? And the odds are you're probably both in this country, given that I think 2/3 of Americans are broke, I think. I don't know what the latest stat is. Maybe somebody can let us know what the latest stat is as far as how many Americans are broke. But it's more than half, I'm pretty sure. So the odds are, most people are both broke and obese. That's pretty bad. Let's see. Didn't Steve tell you he wasn't going to let you film Breanna at the watch event? John, if you're going to talk, try to talk bad about people that I do business with, and friends, associates, acquaintances, or whatever. I don't think that's a good thing to do. I don't know what your motivation here is, but I don't think that's a good pursuit. So let's try to be positive on this channel, okay? And as far as Breanna goes, I mean, I offered to show one of my recent photos here, and nobody wants to see it. So obviously, there's a lot of people that don't want to see photos of Breanna, and I can respect that. And that's why I haven't shown the photo, because nobody wants to see it, so I'm not going to show it. So I happen to be very pro attractive females and that are fit and take care of themselves and are super nice and pleasant to be around. I'm very, very pro that type of situation. There are other people that are not. They're not into that, so I can respect that. Let's see here. I meant smell like a candy shop, wear overly sugarly smelling perfumes that attract stinging insects. Let's see. About 2/3 of the population could not write a check for $1,000. Okay, so there's one stat. But what do we know what the stat is as far as the statistic that are broke? In other words, that have no net worth, that owe more than they own. Do we know what that stat is? That's what I would define as broke, as somebody who has no assets. If you took their liabilities, if you took their assets and you subtracted their liabilities, it's either zero or below. That's what I would define as broke. Okay? So that's what I was wondering what the status is on that. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just asking you questions. I've been a subscriber for a while. Yeah, but John, that was kind of a, what's the point? I mean, if he doesn't want Breanna at his event, that's his event. I respect that. If that's the case, I respect that. I mean, it's his event. And he tries to be politically correct and all this stuff. I mean, he didn't have Christina Denny back. She was there a year ago, not this past event, but the year before, and she was great. I thought she was great. She was there because I suggested that she be there, and everybody loved her, and she did a great job. But he didn't have her back. It's his call. He runs his business. I might not agree with that. I would have had Christina back in a heartbeat, and I would have had Breanna there. But that's just me, and I don't run the show. Far from it. It's his business. It's his thing. So that's what it is. Cheattown says, let's see the photo. John says, show the photo. Yes to the photo. That's a yes from me. Message deleted from Carla. Wait. There was timed out. Uh-oh, somebody was timed out. Wow, does that mean they are broke or illiterate? Oh, that would be good to know. How many are obese, broke, and illiterate? And if you think about it, all three of those things are personal choices, right? You choose to be obese, right, based on what you eat, generally speaking. You choose to be broke based on how you handle money. And you choose to be illiterate based on not taking the time and effort to learn things, right? About 25% of the population have zero net worth. Okay, I thought it was a higher number than that. Okay. That's not as bad as I thought it was then. Okay. That's actually good news. All right, I'll go ahead and show the picture of Breanna. There she is wearing my Stetson. And I think that we can definitely come to the conclusion that she looks better in the hat than I do. She looks better in the hat than I do. So there's that. And I will show the photo of her with the tripod, because that tripod is really super cool. Super cool. At least I'll try to show it if I can get this laptop to behave. Here we go. There she is with the, well, let me full size this and then we'll show you. Here she is with the Pro Media Gear tripod. The Pro Media Gear tripod. There you go. And she does love that tripod. All right. Let's see. Does that mean they are broke or... Okay, we just read that. Okay. People don't know how to market. Beautiful women attract men, and the more beautiful women that are at an event generate more bodies to sell. The guys want to spend money to impress the girls. Yeah, I mean, I would have them there, personally. But again, that would be my decision, not his, and he runs that place. So Breanna is gorgeous. I talked to her a few weeks ago and wish her luck in her endeavors. There you go. You might want to go to her website and sign up as a Patreon. $5 a month. You can be a Patreon and help her out a little bit. Help her focus on creating content and improving her dance and all of that good stuff. Being obese is delicious, though. I think of all that great food you have to consume to get to be fat. Sign me up for the French fries, burger, and pizza. There you go. Oh, man, pizza is good. I love all that stuff, too. Absolutely. I have to confess, I had 1.5 subs. I had a half a roast beef sub because Breanna ate the other half. This was yesterday. And then I had a full cold cut sub because I stopped by Hoffmans and they gave me 2 subs. And it turned out that we just ate a half a sub each. And then when Breanna left, she didn't take the other sub with her, so it was in the refrigerator, so I couldn't let it go bad. So I ate the entire cold cut sub yesterday, and it was good. Man, was it good. I usually get just the roast beef sub, but we got a roast beef and a cold cut. So that's how that worked yesterday. It may be higher than 25%, but the often quoted stat is about not being able to afford an unexpected expense, which is still terrible, but different since they could liquidate. Yeah. That girl is going to break some hearts. David Lee in the house. She's a very nice young lady, though. She's very, very nice. And I think she's gonna work hard. I think she's gonna, build her brand. I don't think she's gonna quit and give up like so many people do. How's Hoffman's doing? I think they were saying they were looking at selling or shutting down. I hope that's not the case. The place is for sale. The gentleman is really up there in the years, and his daughter works there, but I don't think she's interested in really taking over the business. And it's a lot of work. I mean, he's there all day, every day, pretty much. Maybe he gets a day off a week or something, but I mean, they work their butts off, and it's the same old story. I mean, it's hard to get any young folks to come in and do that sort of thing. So yeah, it could be gone. The place is for sale, so if it sells, it's gone. In the Shamrock Restaurant here in Thurmont, they're a client of mine. Same thing. 60 some odd years that the 2 sisters have been running it. They're shutting it down. It's going to be gone the end of this year, in the end of this month. The Shamrock Restaurant, and they're just shutting the place down. They're selling the real estate, just shutting the place down. I don't even know if it'll still be a restaurant when all is said and done. So yeah, some of these mom and pop places are just going away slowly but surely, and it's kind of sad. Let's see. Craig, you're getting up there in age and are apparently comfortably wealthy. Why don't you make at least one splurge and buy a car for fun, like a 911 to supplement your Prius? Here's the thing. The reason that I'm kind of financially secure is because I don't splurge. I save and invest. And it's funny how it works out that way, right? How a lot of the cheapskates end up being kind of financially secure, probably because they are cheapskates. So there's that. And you don't change, you know, when you're my age, you don't really change any. We're kind of set in stone, set in our ways, as they say. Thanks for correcting me. 25% zero net worth was for white households only. My mistake. If the total U.S. population, approximately 50% have zero net worth, assets minus liabilities equals net worth. Oh, so it's 50%. Okay, so that was about what I was thinking. So where do we get those stats? I mean, is that, do you know that to be an accurate stat, or that'd be interesting to know if it's exactly 50%. That's kind of interesting. Craig, you should buy Hoffmans, change the name to CraigShip Subs, then turn it into a franchise. There you go. The problem is you really can't franchise that because those guys, they work their butts off. And that roast beef, he cooks it himself. Like, he slow cooks it. He's got a whole thing he goes through to just cooking the roast beef. No, I mean, a business like that would kill me. I wouldn't be able to do a business like that. Craig should get a 2020 Corvette. You know, the Corvettes, you've always been like sitting in the floor. I had a 1978 silver anniversary Corvette with the, what was it called? The, whatever 42 engine, now I forget, darn it. Anyway, it was a stick shift with the L42, what was it? Well, anyway, the whatever engine, the special engine that you couldn't get in California. So I bought it. I was working at Stevens Chevrolet at the time, since out of business, but I was able to get it for $500 over cost because I was a sales rep there, and I bought it, and then I drove it out to California and sold it to Art Uline, who was a doctor working for NBC at the time, Dr. Art Uline, and for $5,000 over list because you couldn't get the that model in California at the time. L82 4-speed, I think it was. I think it was called a L82. Well, I can't remember now. L42, I don't remember, but anyway, it was what it was. The generation today, and we're going to wrap this up pretty soon, folks. We've had fun, though. The generation today of people 16 to 25 have zero assets, live paycheck to paycheck, and have no interest in stocks or savings. They want everything now, and it's on credit. We are in for hell in the future. I bought a home with 20% down 5 years ago when I was 25. I hope you're working to pay that puppy off, Evan. Get that puppy paid off. Trust me, you'll sleep better. But yeah, that stats for millennials are really bad, okay? Buy a Corvette depends on how many pairs of white suede loafers and Hawaiian shirts Craig has in his wardrobe. I think I might have one Hawaiian shirt left that I actually got in Hawaii. Craig, have you seen the new Corvette? It's a mid-engine beast. It looks really totally... Yeah, I've seen it. But you're probably sitting in the floor on that, too. And Ferraris, you're absolutely sitting in the floor. And as old as I am, I can hardly get up out of something like that. So, no, I'd rather have... Maybe a 911 has a little bit higher seating, you know. So, there's that. And I never liked the cars where you're sitting on the floor. That's why I didn't like Hondas. I preferred Toyotas over Hondas because Hondas, you're more sitting in the floor, you know, with your legs out. I like the more chair-high type seats, the higher seats. Let's see. It's because they're getting conned into useless liberal arts degrees and taught to be financially irresponsible by the shallow consumerist culture. Well, here's the thing, and they don't get any education about financial issues. And actually, they get very poor education, period. I mean, I taught Breanna all about Bitcoin and all about investing and all that stuff. She'd never heard any of that stuff. And just had no clue. It's amazing that these people graduate high school and just are totally clueless. They don't know about building a brand. They don't know about, people think that these kids graduate from high school and they know all about the internet. They don't know anything about the internet. They graduate, right? They don't know anything about the internet. They never get taught any of this stuff. They don't know how to live stream like I'm doing right now. They don't know anything about photography. They don't know anything about lighting. They don't teach them anything. They come out of this school. They graduate. And most of them don't know proper English either. And they've graduated. So that's how that works. So get off my lawn. Let's see. I'm going to finish up on these comments. It's difficult for kids in the UK for housing, etc. My first flat, which I still own, was $18,500 in 1981. It is today valued at $825K. It's madness. Yeah, it might be a good time to sell. Sell at the top of the market. Sorry, Craig, but you don't own enough tacky Hawaiian shirts to qualify for a Corvette. There you go. Careful, even if you graduate with an undergraduate degree from Harvard or Yale, it is a liberal arts degree. It's what you do with it after you graduate. Yeah, that's a good point. Craig, you don't need a Corvette. You already got Hot Wheels, the Segway. There you go. The financial education in this country from schools is atrocious. And it isn't just the financial. It's pretty much everything. They come out and they know pretty much nothing. It's amazing. So there's that. I don't know what they're doing in school, but they're not teaching them anything. At work, there are 3,000 employees. I think 25 people in total even know what a Roth IRA is. I had to teach many people. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And the Roth is just like killer. I mean, everybody should max out a Roth. If you do nothing else, you should have a Roth and max it out every year. If you do nothing else. That is financial advice. Let's see here. Sure, Wags just generalizing about the poor quality of education, most of which gets paid for on loans and doesn't really improve people's long-term earning potential. Schools these days spend too much time teaching kids about gender fluidity. Oh, boy. What watch are you wearing now? I'm wearing the 005. Maybe somebody can put the full model number in the chat. I don't remember the full model number, but let me cut to a close-up. And this one has the blue dial, but it really doesn't look blue in most lighting. You got to get out in really hard sunlight, and then you can really see the blue. But it's got the red GMT hand. Is it a SBGA 005? I don't know. I forget. It probably isn't. Anyway, that might be it. But it's a 9F movement. It's a GMT Grand Seiko. But like I say, maybe somebody watching will put the actual. Well, let me see if I can pull it up here. Let me see if I can do a quick search here on my Flickr and pull up a better photo, and maybe I can pull up the model. Let's see here. View all 99. Let's see what happens here with this. Maybe it is SBGA 005. Oh, shoot. With the damn search, it has to be, yeah, I guess that is it. It has to be exact, or it won't match up. Oh no, I'm sorry. The SBGA is the 231, SBGA 231. So what is the 005? Somebody should be able to put it in the chat. But yeah, here we go. Grand Seiko. Okay, here we go. I'm getting warmer here. SBGN 005. SBGN 005. Okay. And here is a loom shot. Okay, let's go full screen on that. There's a loom shot. A lot of Grand Seikos don't have any loom, so this one has some loom. And there's a shot that shows a little bit of the blue dial, the blue tint. There's the side shot. Gorgeous watch, absolutely gorgeous watch, and very affordable. It's what I would call a grab and go watch because it is the 9F movement, so it's going to always be running, right? And you just grab it and go. Comfortable on wrist, very comfortable bracelet. Of course, extreme quality because it's a Grand Seiko. So, yeah. Pretty much all that. That's when I bought it. That's when I was buying it, when I first put it on wrist there at Steve's event. So there you go. That be it. Let's see. Let's see. In motion. Yeah, blue's in motion. Absolutely. Do you still have the Snowflake? No, I sold the Snowflake. I just have these two watches, this one and the 231 right now. That's my 2-watch rotation, and it's working for me. Looking good, Craig. Are you going to make a book with Breanna like you did with Audrey? I probably will at some point make one and as a gift to her. We'll see. We've got some really good photos that we could probably get started on one. I put together, did you guys see the trailer we put together? This is pretty cool. I should play this. This is pretty cool. Let me see if I can pull it up. We made a trailer using the iMovie, where you can make a trailer with iMovie. So let me see if I can pull this up here. This is pretty cool. Let's see. So there's the trailer that we made. Let's see if I can get out of this so that it doesn't play the next video. It's got some Rolex up to play. There we go. So yeah, that's a little trailer. We were playing around with iMovie and made a little trailer for her. Let's see here. Too many GS models. Yeah, there are a lot of GS models. They should get rid of like 80% of them and keep the good ones. Act financially responsibly. Sorry, Craig, but as a millennial, I'm too busy atoning for my privilege or feeling oppressed to worry about such trivial nonsense. Hello at Graphic Luxury. I think you are there after something you said yesterday. Okay. Acting financially responsible. I mean, okay. I don't see. Okay. I think he is there, but will not write. Okay. All right. So there you go. We're going to wrap this puppy up. Make sure you click subscribe, click the bell, and click through to Breanna and subscribe to her channel, BreFitDance, BreFitDance.com. And keep an eye on her. I think she's going to do some really cool content. She's going to generate some great content. She might even talk about watches some. She likes Grand Seikos. I think she's going to be getting a Grand Seiko at some point. And so we'll keep you all posted on that as well. So let me pull up this little puppy here and see if we can wrap this up. We'll give an official time check before we do. We've been going for about an hour. There you go. Very close to an hour. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, click subscribe. Click that bell.